All right, there you are. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Master Series. I'm your host, the real Jason Duncan. What is the Entrepreneur Master Series? Well, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But what we're talking about today is the Freedom Blueprint, how to double your business with inner peace and an unstoppable mindset. And I'm going to be talking with you and with our guest expert, Mario Lanzarotti, the ZenPreneur, which I'll introduce him in just a second. But first of all, I want to say thank you for attending this. I've been doing these Entrepreneur Master Series, or EMS, been doing these webinars for the last couple of years. And we've been doing this as a service of the TRJD Enterprises family, my real Jason Duncan family all over the world, all the community, all you entrepreneurs and business owners. And today is a continuation of that value, free value to you as a listener, as a fan, as a follower. So glad that you're here. This is going to be approximately 90 minutes. It won't go any longer than that. It's going to be approximately a 90-minute webinar live with yours truly and with the ZenPreneur, Mario Lanzarotti, which again, I'll introduce him in just a second. But this is all about tactics. This is about strategy. This is about getting into the weeds on something that will help you do something great as a business owner, specifically how to double your business. We're going to give you something today called the Freedom Blueprint. Now, this series, again, is part of the offerings that I offer as a coach. You can go watch all of the former episodes of our live webinar series on YouTube at The Real Jason Duncan on YouTube. So just go to The Real Jason Duncan on YouTube, search for Entrepreneur Master Series. There's a whole playlist that goes back for a couple of years. Tons of great, valuable content for some of the world's greatest experts in entrepreneurship. So what is it that we're talking about today? Well, we're talking about the Freedom Blueprint, how to double your business with inner peace and an unstoppable mindset. So if you're ready to see unprecedented growth in your business without compromising your inner peace, then you've come to the right spot. So Mario Lanzarotti is the ZenPreneur. He's the founder of that movement, and he believes that true entrepreneurial success comes from operating in your zone of genius. And that will lead to inner peace, which we're going to talk about what that means in a minute. It's going to lead to balance, which hey, I love balance. I talk about that a lot. It's going to lead to balance, and it's going to lead to purpose. And that is what we all desire. So with that comes the challenges of outdated paradigm that says success requires constant grinding and this sacrificing your well-being and your relationships and other things that are valuable to you. Well, not anymore. Today, you're going to find out how to achieve that success, how to achieve that balance, how to get to a life of purpose without compromising any of your other values. So who is Mario Lanzarotti? Well, he's a high-performance coach. He's a TEDx speaker. He and I shared the stage a couple of years ago. His video on his topic on TEDx has been seen over 1.1 million times on YouTube, totally organically. He's making all the rest of us look bad because his video skyrocketed. He's done a fantastic job because he has a great message to share. He's also, as I said, a speaker. He's a conscious leader. He's on a mission to help entrepreneurs make more money in half the time. So his methodologies enable high performance people just like you to gain mental clarity, to focus on what's necessary so they can achieve what would normally take years, but do it in just 6 months or less. He's a pioneer in using high states of consciousness to create wealth and to help you enjoy freedom in all your aspects of life, inspiring entrepreneurs worldwide to achieve their biggest dreams without compromising their well-being. So with all that as an introduction, please help me welcome the ZenPreneur himself, Mario Lanzarotti, to EMS Live.
My brother, Jason, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction and for the opportunity to be here with you today and everybody who's tuning in live. I think we're going to have a lot of fun and we're going to create a lot of value for people to grow their businesses with an unstoppable mindset and inner peace.
Well, it's going to be a good conversation, Mario. So let's tell everybody a little bit about where you're at, man. You live in South Africa. You got an Italian name, but you live in Germany sometimes. You're in New York right now, like the world traveler. So tell everybody a little bit about your background and where you live and what you're doing.
It's difficult to keep track myself, but as far as I remember, I was born in Germany. My dad is Italian, and I live for most of the year. I live in South Africa. I have a principle that says winter's coming, Mario is leaving. So I don't like winter. And right now I'm in New York, in New York City. You know, you and I, a couple of weeks ago, we shared the stage here, spoke at a private event. And yeah, for me, it's really all about being what you call a global citizen and making an impact where you go, and tapping into foreign markets and connecting with global leaders to create things like we are right now.
Yeah, well, you're doing a good job at that. I mean, our paths have crossed several times in the past couple of years. Um, we knew each other long before we ever met each other in person at the TEDx Wilmington stage in 2022, and now we've shared stage a couple of different times. But what intrigues me and why we're doing this today is your focus on this idea of inner peace, this mindset, this idea that we can double business without doubling the work, without doubling the problems, without doubling the effort. So I know you've got a lot of cool things to talk about today, but if you had to tease everybody as we start, like what's the big thing we're going to get to? And then let's go ahead and start into the content for today.
So what we are doing today is we're looking at 4 different components that I have identified over the years of working with 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs, having been mentored by very, very impactful leaders in the world. And I was looking at, is there a way to create better results in life, but do it without the hustle, without the grind, without the constant stress and the emotional tear and wear that comes with it? And I got to say that I did find a formula, and this is based upon ancient wisdom and ancient knowledge. I didn't make this up. I took the best of what is out there and I brought it together into a special soup and sauce. And you know, if whoever you're watching right now, if you want to stay until the very end, I think it will be one of the most valuable things that you're going to take in if you choose to be fully present here.
Yeah, so if you do stay the very end, Mario's going to do an amazing magic trick. You just want to make sure you're here so that you can see. Yeah, so no, it's not true. But if you are watching on Zoom, Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, there is an opportunity for you to engage with us live, because this is, if you're watching this when we're doing this live on October the 4th, 2023, then you can engage live. You can ask questions, you can give comments, etc. My apprentice, Justin Tatum, is in the background coming to us. You can't see him, but he's there. He's on vacation with his family in Laguna Beach, Florida, but he's sitting in on this because he didn't want to miss this. But he is going to be monitoring all of the chat channels, Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So no matter where you are, you can ask questions. So no matter where you are right now, why don't you just go ahead and hit some kind of key on the keyboard. Doesn't matter what it is, and hit enter so that we know that you're there, that you're listening. And if you got questions as we go throughout this, Justin's going to monitor that and he'll bring it to my attention, to Mario's attention, and we'll be able to answer your questions live right here during the webinar. So Mario, let's go ahead and get started, brother. What is the Freedom Blueprint? Let's get into it.
All right. Let's dive into that. If we could please share my presentation that I've prepared specifically for us today. So let's talk about the Freedom Blueprint and how you can double your business with inner peace and an unstoppable mindset. Before we dive deeper into this, I want to ask you a few questions that I'd like you to reflect upon as I guide you through this process. Do you feel that growing your business also leads to more stress? That's a question. Ask yourself that question. Do you feel that it's true? If you're like most of us, you probably say yes. Now, ask yourself, what if you could break that correlation? What would it mean for you? What would it be like if you could do that? How would your personal life change? How would your business change? And another question to reflect upon is, how much of your day is spent on tasks that neither grow your business nor enrich your life? A lot of us, we're wearing that badge of honor that says, I'm busy. It's like, and Jason, you talk about this yourself. The amount of times I talk to people in my personal life and I can hear they're telling me, oh yeah, how are things? Yeah, good, man. Just so busy. Just good, really good. So there's this idea that somehow being busy is a good thing. It means that you're productive. It means that you're creating something of value, which couldn't be further from the truth. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how aligned are you with your business core values and mission? Just give yourself an honest rating, right? Your values and your mission, the things that are most important to you in your life. Where would you say your business is? Today, we find ourselves in a marketplace that is very saturated and very hard to keep up with. Jason and I, we know this, we're both coaches. It seems like every second person today is a coach. And so the market is flooded, right? There's a lot of agency owners, content creators. Everybody is a content creator. Everybody creates videos. And I'm not saying that to discourage you from doing what you really want to do. The point that I want to make is that it's really challenging to move through a saturated market. So there's one determining factor that decides whether you are going to be successful or not. Now you may say, wait a minute, there's many determining factors. I said, yes, but nothing supersedes this one. And it is your state of being, because it's the lens through which you experience the world. It shapes your thoughts, directs your actions, and ultimately writes your story of success or failure. So the pivotal question for you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, even as a business leader, it applies, is what state of being is driving the results that you're currently experiencing in your life and business. And I want to tell you a little story about myself. The guy on the left, that used to be me. About 5 years ago, I was living in New York City. I was running my first startup, All in Sundry, a custom shoe brand, which we sold in 2019, my co-founder and I. And at the time, I was full on embodying the idea of grind and hustle. I mean, if you just step foot into New York City and you smell the air is literally telling you it's about grind and hustle over here. However, at the time, I was unfocused, I was ineffective, and was very burned out. I was constantly busy. I was working 7 days a week from morning 8 till evening 8, 9 p.m. My relationship with my now wife was about to fail. And while I thought I was playing a big game, look at me, I'm in New York, I'm an entrepreneur, I was playing very small compared to the true potential that was lying dormant within me. And I was making just enough to survive. I was making, on average, $3,000 per month in living in New York City. And if you've ever visited New York City or you have lived in New York City, you will know that that's very, very little to actually survive here. And the worst part for me, I was feeling behind on my dreams and goals because I really wanted to do what I was doing, what I am doing today. And so fast forward to today, I am the founder of the ZenPreneur movement. My TEDx talk has now reached 1.3 million organic views. And my business is what I call my calling. It's not just a business. For me, it's a mission. For me, it's a way to impact the world. Today, I work with multi-6 and 7-figure entrepreneurs and help them scale their businesses with inner peace, with efficiency. And the best part of it all, I get to be married to my queen, to the woman of my dreams. And doing all that from a place of being present, peaceful, and focused. And the reason I'm telling you this is not because I think I'm some sort of a special big shot guy. No, I want this to serve as an example. So you can see, hey, if a guy who grew up in Germany, whose third language is English, can make it, then I can definitely make it. So I want my story to inspire you to say, hey, if Mario can do it, then I can do it too.
Well, let me stop you there, Mario. I want to talk a little bit about this hustle and grind thing, because I think this is where so many entrepreneurs get stuck. Yeah. Is that we are taught by the TikTok gurus, the Instagram gurus, these guys that are doing these videos. Man, it's hustle and grind, just hustle and grind. Sleep is for suckers, man. Just you can sleep when you're dead. You got to work hard. Yeah. And here's the problem: they don't put that in context, because when you started your shoe company, when I started my lighting company, when I started my coaching company, when you start anything, that is 100% true, but that is not a permanent recipe for success. That is a temporary activity that needs to happen. You got to hustle, you got to grind. You might not be able to sleep. You got to work a lot of hours, but that should be very temporary. It should be short, because long-term hustle and grind leads to burnout, leads to stress. It leads to health problems. It leads to severing relationships. and it doesn't lead to the success and balance that people like you and me as coaches are trying to help our clients get to. So I am definitely the anti-hustle and grind guy. That's what this is about. And I love that's what you're saying as a Zenpreneur, is that we got to get out of this hustle and grind. And it's all about the state of being, which is like a mindset. It's like, what is our state of mind? So I love where you're going. How did you come to that conclusion before you get into the rest of your presentation? How did you come to the conclusion that that wasn't working besides your own experience? What else did you see that allowed you to conclude that that's not the way to get to success?
Great point. Great point. Well, there's two things in my life that I was looking at. There is how much money I was making, because obviously being an entrepreneur, being in business, it is about money. We can talk about, oh, this is all about purpose, and we got to make money. That's the whole thing. Otherwise, just get a hobby. So that was one thing. It wasn't working. I was barely making enough to survive. So that was number one. But number two was more important. Number two was, I asked myself, why did I become an entrepreneur? And the reason I became an entrepreneur is because I wanted to have freedom. Every entrepreneur becomes an entrepreneur because they want to have freedom. Now, when you ask entrepreneurs about freedom, the first thing they'll tell you is money, right? I want financial freedom. Now, here's the thing. I have met so many people that are in the millions, and yet they keep coming to the same place. And it's this place called not enough. Still not enough. And a lot of them use this as a badge of honor. It's just the next thing and the next thing. And I say, great, doing the next thing is awesome. It's fun. But do you do it at the expense of your inner peace? And that's why I said, I want to find a different way, because I never had peace. I was always on edge. I was always like, it's not enough. I got to do better. I got to do more. I got to do better. And that was coming from a place of pain. I was like, this can't be the case. I want to be able to do what I do and feel free and feel at peace while I'm doing it, not once I get to the goal. And so that was a reason for me to say, okay, I want to find a different way. And here's what I discovered. And this is so important to understand, because many entrepreneurs, when they hear this, like, yeah, I get it. It's a bit of fluff kind of thing, but this is the total opposite. The people in the world that use this Zenpreneur method are amongst some Shaolin monks. Would you say that Shaolin monks are like fluff people that are like, yeah, I'll see if I feel like it? Or would you say that they're the most disciplined and effective people in the world?
I don't know what a Shaolin monk is, but I would assume it's the latter, not the former.
These are people that perform extraordinary tasks, right? They can do a handstand on their pinky or have like 5 knives piercing into their body with an elephant on top. I'm exaggerating a little bit, right? And it doesn't get through. These people are just at the highest level of performance, mentally, emotionally, and physically, but they're operating in a state of peace. So be aware that what I'm showing you is not a sort of, once you get the money, relax a little bit, have more balance in your life. No. I'm giving you the instructions to be hyper productive and hyper effective. This is stuff, if you want to get serious about being serious about your dreams and goals, then this is one thing to use. So I'll keep it at that.
All right. I'm good with that. So continue on with the Zenpreneur method.
All right. So the Zenpreneur method is about 4 distinct characteristics. We have an unstoppable mindset that allows you to activate limitless potential. We have the philosophy and the principle of self-mastery, which is allowing you to continuously elevate consistent high levels of performance. So you don't have Monday to Thursday, you're at the top of your game. Come Friday to Sunday, you're depressed and miserable, and you're just trying desperately to get back to that high, right? Which is a recipe for burnout. And then we have three, which is conscious leadership, where you lead with a vision, where you learn to be the kind of leader that people genuinely want to follow, the kind of leader that we think about a Martin Luther King, a Gandhi, even a Jesus, right? Or these are legendary leaders. They are conscious leaders. And then 4 is operating in your zone of genius, your genius zone, which is really the kind of area, and I'm curious, Jason, because you're the expert on this, on really getting you to function at the place that you're supposed to function, the architect. Where, and in my perspective, this is where passion, high skill, and ROI activities meet. And so we'll dive into that a little bit later. Now, let's talk about the unstoppable mindset. The unstoppable mindset, I want to make it as simple as possible for everybody, is really about two things. It's about being clear. Being clear about what? Well, we'll look at that in a moment. But being clear means, okay, what do you want? Okay, I want to double my business, right? What does that mean? Okay, so I want to take it from 400K per year to 800K per year. Got it, great. So now you know what you want, but you got to know what is implied with that. What is the strategy? What changes do you need to make? So we'll look at that in a moment with an exercise that I have for everybody. And then once you have the clarity, you need to have the capacity to focus. You can have the best strategy in the world. You can have an hour of time with Tony Robbins and he could map out your $1 million or $10 million dollar business probably on a napkin. It would be completely useless to you if you can't focus. If your mind is not able to focus, you will not produce results. And you'll see this in nature. If you have ever, I mean, I'm sure everybody, or at least we all know about it, have used a magnifying glass. You just take a piece of glass and sun comes through it on a piece of paper, nothing will happen. But if you take a magnifying glass and put it on the same piece of paper, fire will start to come up. Why? Because we bundle energy. And the same is true for your mind. If your mind is scattered in all directions, you cannot bundle its focus. You cannot bundle its energy, so you're not producing results. Or the results you produce are weak. So I want to show you an exercise that I want you all to do. Now, I would recommend you screenshot this because you might not be able to go through this at this time, but I want to go through it with you once because it's a very simple and powerful framework to help you scale with inner peace. Number one, you got to look at clarity in terms of what, who, and how. You want to list what are the top 3 to 5 actions or strategies required to double your business. If you think about that right now, what is required? Okay, I need to be able to generate at least 10 sales calls per week. Got it. Okay, so now what is required to get that done? I need to start building a brand. Okay, what is required to get that done? All right, out of these strategies, you also want to ask yourself, are you working in or on the business? Jason can tell you all about that. A lot of times when we're working in the business, it can be a sign that you actually are preventing yourself from doubling the business, because if you're not implementing the systems, the people, and the processes to double, you're going to stay where you are. Now, here's a hack that has helped me grow tremendously. For each item, list one person who can help you get this done better and or faster. In fact, I have a principle that I use all the time now, and it's called, before I ask myself, how do I do this? I ask myself, who can help me with it? If I want to even think about exiting my business, I know who I'm going to call. I'm going to call Jason. I'm going to say, hey, brother, I'm thinking about exiting. What are like 3 to 5 things I should be doing right now? And he'll give me that in like 10 minutes. If I didn't do that, it would have probably taken me a week, and I might not have gotten the same quality of answers. So take on this principle, who before how. And then lastly, what will I need to learn a new skill, hire a new person, or set up a new system? Really important that you map this out. So that's for clarity in terms of what, who, and how. Now, I want to test your ability to focus. So for each of those 3 to 5 actions, pick from 1 to 10 on a scale, what your average level of focus is for this task. So you might say, okay, lead generation, I need to start looking for a marketing agency. And for that, I need to start creating content. I need to create content 5 days a week. Okay, so what's your focus level on content creation? When you're sitting down to write the caption, to come up with the videos, how focused are you? Are you like a 9, a 10, where you get it done, boom, or are you more like a 5? You're doing it, and you're checking your phone, and you're You're standing up, you're walking out, you're watching Netflix or talking to somebody or doing some busy work. Give yourself a rating for that. So what I want you to do is give yourself a rating for all of these 3 to 5 actions and then calculate the average of that you get for these. And if your average is below 7, you need to identify what distractions or roadblocks are there hindering me from being focused. And some strategies that you can use are time blocking, delegating, communicating, boundaries. Really important. If you have a team and you want to focus on doubling the business, but your team has direct access to you all the time, that doesn't mean you're a leader. That means you're a pleaser. So you need to let them know. It's like, hey, team, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., I'm doing deep work. I will not be available to anything or anyone. But you got to communicate that. And communicating comes with fears. Oh, well, how will that be perceived? What if they don't like me anymore? What if they decide that I'm not a good leader and they want to leave the company? All of that mental conversation can come up with that. Be aware of it. Now, lastly, this is really important, and this is something that I rarely ever see a business leader do. They usually do 1 and 2, but 3 very rarely. Now, out of the 3 to 5 actions that you picked, which one may cause you the most stress? Rate that on a scale from 1, really almost no stress, to 10 being really, really, really stressful. Now, once you have that list, you want to make a plan to reduce it by 50%. So if you're at an 8, you want to get it to a 4. If you're a 9, get it to a 5 or a 4. Right? You can round it up or down. Make a plan to do that. Really, really important. Now, I'm listing some tools here. Obviously, there are many more. Meditation, time in nature, time with empowering people. If you consider yourself a religious person, go to church, pray, deeper healing work with people like myself, therapists. There's many, many ways out there. Breath work. And really, if you do not schedule this as non-negotiable, it's not going to happen. So my invitation for all of you is make a screenshot of this and then get to work on it.
So let me pose this back to the audience that's with us today. Mario's going to some really good tactical stuff on how to get clarity and focus, how to develop this unstoppable mindset, which is the first thing you've got to do in order to be able to double that business. It's about this. It's about getting that mindset right. So what questions do you have? We've got one comment that just came in from Kayla. She's excited to be here. Kayla, we're glad that you're here as well. But if anybody has questions about any of this stuff that he just listed out on action items, tactics that you can start right now to become an unstoppable mindset, then go ahead and ask those questions. We're going to monitor those and we'll bring them in as we see them come in. So Mario, this is good stuff. How often do you think that people need to go through this? How often do you think people need to go through this exercise to really get to where the rubber starts to meet the road and traction starts to happen?
It's a great question. I would say, especially as the architect of the business, this has to be a regular thing. And when I work with people, and I'm sure you do the same thing, you do check-ins, right? So you set the plan. Let's say you can do this on a weekly basis, which might be a bit challenging for business owners depending on where they're at and what level. But I would say at least do it once a month. Once a month, based on that, set the roadmap. And then what I would recommend is that you check in on like a Friday, maybe Friday afternoon. You want to check in. How am I doing? And you don't need to spend too much time on that. Simple check-ins. Okay, am I on top? Am I hitting my priorities? The 3 through 5 actions. Okay. And really important with that is you got to check in. How am I feeling? Because that's the one thing that entrepreneurs do not ask. How am I feeling? They're just like, oh, whatever. Just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And so if you don't check in with how you're doing, it's the same as if never going for a checkup with a doctor. So I'm fine, I'm good. And then you go after 5 years and the doctor goes, well, you have testicular cancer. And you're like, oh, damn, I wish I went earlier. So this is preventative and it's highly effective because then you can pivot, then you can make adjustments. So this should be a regular part of the planning of every entrepreneur.
All right. I love it. So Where do we go from here? If we do this exercise, clarity and focus, we get our mindset. Is this when we start moving towards self-mastery?
Yes, sir. Good. So this completes the unstoppable mindset, really, of those two components. And then we move into the next. And there's a beautiful quote that allows us to tap into this deeper by Lao Tzu. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. And self-mastery is all about, as it says, mastering yourself, which means the only person that can get in your way is you. The only one holding you back from becoming wealthy and making an impact all over the world, being happy, being fit, the only one is you. Now, many of us, because we are entrepreneurial, we have that mindset of responsibility. We're like, yeah, you're right. However, in your unconscious mind, oftentimes when you blame, when you complain, there is a sense of, oh, it's not me, it's the economy. Oh, it's not me, it's my clients. So self-mastery really is about taking back your power. And so I want to read to everybody a beautiful story that I think encapsulates this very well. And it's the tale of a Zen master and his apprentice. Very fitting, because today your apprentice is here.
That's right.
So a young apprentice comes to study under a Zen master known for his beautiful garden. The apprentice is eager to create a garden as magnificent as the master's and asks, "Master, how long will it take for me to master the art of gardening?" I want all of you to listen as if the garden is your business. The Zen master smiles and says, "It will take as long as it takes, but remember, the goal is not to have a beautiful garden. The goal is to learn the art of gardening." The apprentice starts working in the garden. At first, he's obsessed with how each plant looks, constantly comparing his garden to the master's. He becomes frustrated when things don't grow as quickly as he'd like. Seeing the apprentice's frustration, then the Zen master tells him, "Chop wood, carry water. Focus on the task at hand, not the outcome." The apprentice takes the master's advice to heart. He starts focusing on the process, the feel of the soil, the rhythm of his breath as he waters the plants, the texture of the wood as he chops it. Slowly, he finds joy in the process itself. Years pass. One day, the apprentice realizes his garden has become as beautiful as the master's. But by now, the beauty of the garden is just a byproduct. His real achievement is the mastery over himself, the peace and joy he found in the process. Mastery over oneself requires a focus on the process and detachment from the outcome. When you chop wood and carry water with mindfulness and dedication, the results will come, but they will no longer define you.
That's a good story, man. Very good.
So, with that story, question for the audience: what are you hearing about the way that you're running your business? Are you grabbing the outcome? I gotta get the money, please. I need the client. I hope he says yes. Are you doing that? Or are you embracing the process step by step every single day? This is a question that you need to answer for yourself. And self-mastery, now we get to the part of the state of being, is all about where you're coming from, because where you're coming from is more important than where you're going. There are two states of being, and these speak exactly into what I just shared. There is the state of being, which is known as the victim mindset, the victim consciousness, and then there's the creator consciousness, the creator mindset. The victim mindset says the environment decides who I am. Now, environment also means if you look at your bank account and your bank account isn't where you think it should be based on the goals that you set for yourself after New Year's, and you're looking and you're like, damn it, I'm still not there. Oh my God, I suck. I'm such a loser. Man, I need to work harder, right? That's the typical thing that we hear. Or you look at your spouse and then your spouse is just not happy. And because she's not happy, you're not happy. And so now you have two unhappy people. And two unhappy people make for a beautiful mess. Or you talk to your clients. And even though you've done everything that you promised, you showed up, but the client is still not getting the result. This is especially valid for us coaches, right? We are doing anything possible, but the client isn't taking action and then isn't getting results. And then we're like, oh man, this is on me. And so our state of being shifts into one of frustration, despair, anger, guilt, and that makes us weak. On the other side, we have the creator, where you get to choose, right? We all have free will, or so I believe. You get to choose, you get to decide who you are. If you look at your bank account and your bank account tells you you're a loser, you're not good enough, you are whatever, then you're part of the victim mindset, right? Then you're captivated in that. But as a creator, you can choose. You can say, my bank account doesn't define who I am. I'm doing the best I can every day. I'm learning more, I'm growing, and I will do this as long as it takes. Now you're in an empowered state. And when you're in an empowered state, things change dramatically. See, the two differences are either you are in the victim mindset, which is where you have to go from doing to being, where you're not really acting like a human being, you're acting like a human doing. So what does that mean? It means that if you look at your bank account and the money isn't where you think it should be, and all of a sudden you feel stressed, you feel anxious, you feel worried, what do? You're like, damn, okay, I got to work harder. Let's go. Now, is that wrong? No. Is it effective? No, it's not. Why? Because when you're operating on the left-hand side and you're using this to drive you into action, imagine this. Imagine you're in a house and there's a robber that comes in and you hear him. And he's just walking carefully and he's downstairs and your family's sleeping. And all of a sudden you hear it and you start panicking. And you go, oh God, we're gonna die. Oh no. What do? You're gonna make some stupid decision. You might run down and go, and the guy shoots you. But if you can be in a conscious, collected state, however much that's possible, you can make a smart decision. And that smart decision in that moment can save lives. Or it can save your business. But if you're in this victim mindset state, in this rushed, stressed out state, you're going to make reactive decisions. You're going to go, I guess I should charge less. I think I'm charging too much. That's why people are not responding. No, you should charge more. Because if you charge more, guess what? You get better clients and you become more committed because you want to deliver. But you're not going to do that because you're in this, oh God state. This is the difference of being a victim or being a creator. The same in a relationship. If you're a spouse, we're all men here, and there's some beautiful women on the call as well. If you're a man, if your woman comes and says, oh my God, why did you do this to me? You weren't there. And then you go, you have no idea. I was working so hard. And then you have a massive fight. But if you can stay calm and collective and you can just let your woman go, and express her emotions, and you can just be there and listen, just like think about women are like the ocean, like wild and ferocious and really powerful. And the ocean keeps going. And you can be like that rock that just stands there and sits there until the water calms down. Guess what? The ocean will love you infinitely. Women will love you because you don't react to it. And that's where power is required. So you find this concept everywhere in your life. So I'm going to pause a moment to see if there are any questions about this.
Well, we got Top G says, I'm chopping wood and carrying water. so cool.
Right,
Call back to that story.
I need some for my house in Cape Town, please, to keep the fire.
What's that?
I said I need some wood for my house in Cape Town to keep the fire going. So please send it.
All right. Any other questions? We got one that says people say they're distracted about every 90 seconds. What are some tools that you can recommend to help to maintain your focus? It's a good question, Brianna. Thank you for that.
Somebody hacked into my presentation. I see.
Yeah.
So now we get to the real juice. State of being. See, what is a distraction? A distraction really is an uncomfortable emotion that you don't want to deal with. Right? You're sitting there. I had this. Creating presentations is one of the hardest things for me because I am a very intuitive person. I just like to show up with a group of people, have them all be there, and just see what is there in the moment and just create breakthroughs. For me, creating this taka 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 is like, okay. So this was a perfect example. I was sitting there and I could notice myself pick up my phone. Let me just check. And so I was like, okay, you know what you're doing. So what do? Well, I'm going to show you right now what we're going to do. All you're going to do is you're going to sit down with both of your feet planted on the ground, nothing to fiddle with in your hands are on your lap. And then we're going to take deep breaths in and out through the nose. And you want to focus on the lower part of your belly. Imagine you have a balloon in there. And when you're breathing in, the balloon blows up. When you breathe out, the balloon empties. So just take a few rounds of breath, right? Just breathe deeply, long, deep inhale and exhale. And just do that. Just breathe for a while and notice what happens in your body. As you continue to take long, deep breaths, notice what happens in your body. The key is to get out of your head, always. Tony Robbins says, if you're in your head, you're dead. Keep breathing. Just continue breathing. Your mind will go, but you don't know. No. Breathe. But Mario, breathe. But tell me, breathe. Just continue breathing. Long, deep breaths. Let that ocean go and crash against the shore. Just breathe. Your emotions are like the ocean. Don't try to fight them. You will lose. Align with them. And the way you do is by breathing. What we're doing through the breath is we're regulating our nervous system. The thing that creates this is a nervous system that is in fight or flight. Right? Your nervous system is aroused, and that's not a bad thing. If you need to run for your life because a hungry lion is chasing you outside my door in Cape Town, you better run. I will cheer on you. I'll say, go, Jason, you got this. So I'll do that. But most of the time, there's no real danger. There's just an idea in your head, oh, if I don't close this client, my life is over. And then what do most people do? No, it's not over. I still have enough money. I have another client come in. No, but you don't know what you're talking about. It's going to be over. You just start, it's just, it's the monkey mind. So don't go there. Go to your breath. And never argue with your own mind. Rule of thumb. Always come back to your breath. And I promise you, the more you do these 1 to 2 minute breaks in between, the less you're going to face any sort of distraction because you're giving yourself space to process something.
That's good. I would also say that one of the techniques to add to that is to become aware of something. And the weird thing is you could become aware of your breath, which is what you're teaching, which is one thing. So if you're getting distracted, you can pull yourself back to the center through breathing techniques, becoming aware of your breath. The other thing is I like to use my toes as an example because they're not seen most of the time. They're in shoes. And if I get distracted or feel myself getting distracted, I can just wiggle my big toe on my right foot and just pay attention to that movement. And it kind of brings me back to the center. And there are other ways you could do that. You could touch your thumb to your fingertips.
Yes.
But if you recognize the distraction, to Brianna's question there, if you recognize the distraction, you cannot sit in the distraction. You have to, and you can't fight the distraction. You've got to do something to pull yourself back to the center, which I think is what Mario is talking about here. We have another question. Amy asked this question: do you have a plan of action or a timeline to unravel yourself from the business in a way that the business continues to thrive without you being there? And how do you go about that?
Great question. So I would say this is a highly individual answer. It really depends on where you are in life and on what you want to do, because I will say there is no one size fits all. I had a conversation with an agency owner yesterday, and I am in the same boat with him. He's like, I don't want to completely get myself out of the business. I love doing this. I love this work. It's so much joy for me. And so he was told that he should just completely remove himself from the business because that's the way to do it. But he's like, that just doesn't work for me. And so this is where I bring it back to your values. For me, I don't want to completely get myself out of this business, out of the complete operation. I love coaching. I will always want to do coaching. That's me. But you might be like, you know what? I just want to build a couple assets. I just want to create what Jason has, multiple businesses that he exited without exiting. And that's perfect, right? So first of all, you got to figure out what's right for you. If you don't address that question, what's going to happen is you're going to follow somebody else's blueprint. And if you do that, you may find success in terms of the results, but you may encounter a lack of fulfillment. Because you're like, now I got all this money, now I got all these channels happening, and I don't know, something is missing. I feel like I got myself out of something that I really, really love. So I would say do that first, and then I think I can see the question as well. I want to make sure that I capture correctly here. Do you have a plan of action or timeline to unravel yourself from the business in a way that the business continues to thrive? Okay. And also what I would say is, how much time can you dedicate towards working on the business versus in the business? You might be at a stage where you can't afford right away to bring on other people. Right? So you want to look at that. You want to look at it as a step-by-step plan. And that's why I said in the beginning, where is the presentation? In the beginning, you want to focus on 3 to 5 actions. Start with that. Start with that and be realistic with the timeline that you can do this. Because the moment you go back into hustle grind, which means working at the expense of your well-being, guess what you're going to do? You're going to set yourself up for burnout. And what that does is you go up, 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 and you create results, and then you crash. And then you're like, God damn it. Now I have 1 month where I can't do anything because I'm just so done. So I can't really give you a tailored answer to you because I don't really know your specific situation. I don't think we have all the time, but I hope that gives you a couple pointers for you to look into and to start developing momentum.
And I would add to that this is actually, that question is in the center of what I do as a coach. Most of those questions are answered in my best-selling book, Exit Without Exiting. This is a shameless plug here. Exit. Look at that. Mario's got his copy there too. Exit Without Exiting, how to live the exit lifestyle without selling your business. How do you get yourself disentangled strategically from the center of your business? So there's a lot of tips and tools in there, Amy, but that's a great question. So thank you for the questions. Audience, keep sending those in. We've got 2 more pieces of the ZenPreneur method. We've got Genius Zone, Conscious Leadership's coming up next. Are you ready to enter that yet or what?
Let's go.
All right.
I'm ready, sir. Let's bring it up. All right. Jack Welch. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. This is a beautiful quote. Really sums up the whole idea of conscious leadership. We've all been there. The solopreneur route, it's about investing in yourself, growing. And then at some point, you got to look at how do you bring other people up. And we have a live action scenario right here, right? We have Justin, who is Jason's apprentice. That's exactly it. He is the one who's now building up Justin to be a leader. And that's the whole notion of conscious leadership. Conscious leadership is all about leading with vision. It's not just about making money and meeting the bottom line. It's about being a visionary. And so I have a question for the audience that I'd like to discuss. What's the difference between a conscious and an unconscious leader? What do you think? Let's just post a few words into the chat.
All right. If you have a question or an answer to that, what's the difference between a conscious and unconscious leader? Drop it in the chat and we'll pull it over into the public or the private side where we can see it as well. I'd say, my idea about this, not to feed into the audience too much or lead them too much, is there's the idea of awareness or lack of awareness. There's this whole the leadership conundrum where it talks about unconscious incompetence and then conscious incompetence. And oh, we good with the sound? Oh, we good? Had a little hiccup there, but then there's unconscious competence, and then there's unconscious, or excuse me, I think we moved all the way to unconscious competence is where we want to be. But I think that's the idea. I think that's the idea that I hear, is that it's a being aware or not aware. I don't know. What does everybody else think? Anybody else we got any comments coming in, Justin, on that? Nobody's answering that question yet.
And I'll address the question that Justin asks as well.
We got somebody that says conscious difference is a conscious leader has a great sphere of his awareness and a team more than the unconscious leader. Somebody else said, Amy said, a leader you want to follow versus a leader you have to follow. That's good. Conscious leader, Brown says, is proactive. These are really good. These are good.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference?
I like it. I'm going to have somebody else answer it for us. So can we bring up the slides again? All right.
All right, so our producers whispering in our ear that the audio from the YouTube clip that we're showing right now is not coming through on the live. So,
okay.
I don't know is there a way to do this, Mario? Can you put a microphone down on your speaker?
I can actually.
Yeah, go back and try to do that again. See if we can get. We're gonna try, audience. We're gonna try to do something here that'll see if we can get the audio coming through Mario's microphone.
We can. Okay, so hold on. Give me 60 seconds.
All right, so while he's doing that, I want to bring you and tell you about our sponsor for this. This is a great break in the action. So right now, short form media, short form content is all the rage. Everybody knows that if you don't do short form, you're really irrelevant in the space publicly. So you've got to be doing short form. The problem is you don't know what to say. You don't know how to edit it. You don't know when to post it. You don't even have the time to do all this stuff. But what if I told you there was a tool in a company called Story, which is the chief sponsor of this EMS webinar? What if I told you that you could let them do all of that for you? All you have to do is record. And even better than that, they will tell you what to record. So you just put in what topics you want to cover. Their app shows you exactly what you should say. You can even do the teleprompter inside their app. It's all 100% right there in the app. You just record, send it to them. They do the edits. They do all of the stuff for you. And then they even post it on the platforms. They write the subtitles. They write the hashtags. They write the description. All of that for you. You don't have to do a thing other than record the video. How does that sound? Well, if you want to check that out, you can get one free edit just to see what it's like and a discount on your first 3 months working with Story if you decide to sign up by going to therealjasonduncan.com/story. And that's story with 2 Y's. So go to therealjasonduncan.com/story and you can get your first video edited for free. And then you can sign up for a discount for the first 3 months. Big thanks to Connor and Devin and the guys at Story for being our title sponsor for EMS. Thank you. Back to you, Mario.
I think we have solved the problem.
All right. Let's see if we can make it work.
Let me try this again by sharing, and then you let me know if the sound is on.
No, all right. Producer's telling us the audio's still not coming through on that. So sorry, Mario. We don't have that ability to push that.
We'll skip ahead. Then you'll have to watch this yourself. But essentially, the point that I want to make. Oh, hold on. I need to get out of this. It's a very powerful scene, and I highly recommend, if you haven't watched it, to rewatch this movie, because it will tell you a lot about your leadership and about consciousness. So can we see this? Yes, we can. Okay, so let me go in. There we go. All right. So what Morpheus is telling Neo in that moment is that he is enslaved. He's enslaved to his mind. And just like Neo had to awaken to the reality of the Matrix, leaders need to awaken to the reality of their influence and impact. An unconscious leader operates in a mental prison, limited by old paradigms and reactive patterns. That's what I was saying earlier today. When you're operating from the past, when you're doing things the way that you've always been doing them, when you're doing things the way that everybody around you tells you to do that, you are tending to be an unconscious leader. A conscious leader is somebody who is awake and aware. To Jason's point that he was making earlier, is that he's aware. Aware of what? Well, aware of his thoughts and aware of his feelings. If you're not aware of that, you become your thoughts and your feelings, which means you're tapping back into that victim consciousness. So a conscious leader is somebody who's capable of leading with intention and integrity. And so conscious leadership, really, in the way that I look at it, has three components. Number one, it's about aligned action. How much of what you are doing on a day-to-day basis inside of your business is in alignment with your values? Many entrepreneurs don't even know their own values. See, Jason asked me earlier, how did I come to all of this, the ZenPreneur? What happened? See, one of my top values is freedom. And because I wasn't feeling free, because I was stressed all the time, I was like, something needs to change. I want to change the way that I run this business entirely. And so aligned action also means that you are aligned with the kind of vision that you have. If your vision is about making a global impact, but all you're doing is running a little shop in Tennessee, well, you might need to change a few things. Powerful communication. Really great example. One of my clients, he's a multi seven-figure agency owner. When I started with him, he was running a single six-figure business, and his thing was communication. He was unable to confidently communicate with people what he really wanted. He was not able to communicate to his team members that weren't performing that they needed to change something. He wasn't able to have open communication and conversations with his business partners about money. And so he would just sort of like leave it on the table. It's okay, we'll talk about it later. And then guess what? If you don't make things clear from the get-go, at some point you're going to encounter problems, because you're not working based on commitments, you're working based on feelings. Oh yeah, we'll work this out, it'll be fine. And so what I did with him is I guided him through a process, which I'll show you in a moment as well, on how you can express what you're feeling and what you want without attacking the other person. This is the most important element in communication. And then lastly, you need a thriving culture. You need a thriving culture of A players. People that function together like a top performing sports team. And that means, obviously, you need to make sure that you know your values, B, you're living your values. And 3, you're transcribing your values to the people around you inside of your company. And so you need to be able to nurture them. So that for me is conscious leadership. Now, I have a little exercise that I want all of you to do. I want you to text 2 people that you work with inside of your company. This is great. Do you see this? Balloons coming up. Let's see if it can take me. Text 2 people that you're working with in your company, 2 people, and ask them, what are 3 words in which you would describe my leadership style? Do it right now. Text 2 people that you're working with. Ask them, hey, person, what would you say is my leadership style? Just describe it in 3 words. You'll be surprised. This is so important for a leader, because as leaders, we need to be aware of what we're not aware. We need to know when the matrix has got us. The matrix being the conditioned mind. We need to know that. And especially if you have so much complexity to manage in your business, if you do multiple businesses, you got to take a step back and let others, look at how are you showing up. And, you might just hear great things about you. Or you might be like, actually, okay, there's something that I need to look at. Some way that I need to change the way that I talk to my team. I had a client of mine who had problems with his team performing. And so a very common thing is that when you assign tasks, and I'm sure Jason can speak on this as well, you assign tasks to your team, and then you check on them like a week later, and all of a sudden it's not done the way that you wanted to get done. Or there's a problem that in the beginning was a tiny problem, but when it got reported to you, it was a monster. And so I had this with one of my clients, big agency owner, very big in the cold email space, wrote a couple books. And so he was like, I don't know why my team doesn't tell me these things. And I said, well, let's take a look at how are you showing up on social media. And so we looked at his social media, and the social media was giving the message across, no weakness, just plow through, no mistakes. You got to be the best all the time. And I said, well, if I was one of your team members and I was looking at that, what's the impression I get from you? And then he said, oh, that I don't want to be approached with mistakes because I don't tolerate mistakes. I said, exactly. See, communication is not just about words that come out of your mouth. Communication is so much more to that. It's about who are you embodying for people to see you. One of my things is I give out this impression that I have everything figured out, which definitely I don't have. And, nothing is ever wrong or bad in my life. And so people rarely check in on me to see how I'm really doing. Because they just assume that everything is always great. And now that's for me, I show up that way. So if I say, hey, people don't really check on me, well, why? Because they don't think that they need to. Because I give out that impression. So I want to pause you for a moment, see if there are any comments. Jason, maybe you have something that you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think that understanding how others perceive you is a really good check on how things are proceeding as a leader. I just had a 90-day review with one of my employees yesterday, and it was really refreshing to hear this person's perspective of my leadership style. Even though I didn't ask specifically that question specifically, I gave the person opportunity to, one of the questions was, how is it like working with me? What were some things that you would like to see improve? It was kind of the same thing. Right. And this person was caught flat-footed. I didn't telegraph this ahead of time. It was live and in review. And to hear that live reaction was actually really nice. And it confirmed, like, this is the way I want to show up in front of most people. But if something had been said that is not the way that I want to show up, it would have been a moment of reflection to make a tweak and a pivot. So I'm really happy that you're doing this with your people. And We do have another question, a callback from earlier that we kind of moved on, but the question was asked. So I'm going to give this one to you as well, Mario. This person says, there is a Zen master who said, quote, have a couple of martinis before meditation and it'll improve your progress by 6 months. So, so his question is, or the person's question is, would you recommend alcohol in moderation or something like psychedelics along with meditation?
So short answer, no, because everything outside of you, literally everything outside of you, is a crutch. If you're relying on psychedelics, alcohol, stimulants, vitamins, I'm not saying don't take it. That's not what I'm saying. Please don't quote me on that. But if you're doing it, you're relying on something outside of you, which means you're giving it your power. So when you really hone the process of breathing and meditating, and you really make that a consistent daily practice, you'll find you have no need for it. And I speak from experience because I have been playing with psychedelics for many years. And I thought, oh, well, okay, I'm just going to schedule every couple months, I'm doing a psychedelic ceremony. And then I recognized that I was running into the same thing again and again and again. And I was using psychedelics to show me what else is there, but I wasn't doing the daily work myself. And so I am a personal believer that who you are as a human being, you have limitless potential. And when you really tap into the power of that is inside of you, through God, spirit, the universe, I don't know, whatever you choose to believe in, I think you're going to access a level of self-expression, performance, joy that is just so much more sustainable. And see, if you don't need anything outside of you, what happens? You become unstoppable. And that's the whole name of the game of what we're doing, right? I coach people to become unstoppable. But the only way to do it is if you stop relying on stuff outside of you. So that's my answer to that.
Well, I would agree with you certainly in general terms. I think that anytime you have something on the outside that's giving you something that you want to be on the inside, that's probably not the most healthy way to do it. I'm not familiar with the Zen master who said that, although I think it's hilarious. I think it's a very funny comment. And I've never done psychedelics. I'm not really interested in that. It's not a thing. I do have occasional alcohol in moderation, but I've never thought about doing or consuming alcohol and then, sitting down and doing meditation. I would say that experience that or experiment with it, but I would generally agree with Mario. I think Mario is probably on the right track as one who's done what he said he's done and what he's experimented with. We're closing in on the last 15 or so minutes of our time together. I know we've got a whole nother step of the ZenPreneur method that we need to get to. So Mario, I want to kind of get us back on track. Although I will say this, Amy came back with she said, I asked my husband what those words were, and outgoing, positive, friendly, and he followed up with aggressive. so you gotta know awareness is the key to recovery, right?
Yes, exactly. All right, let's move on. So with an awareness of time, I'm not going to go into everything deeply. So take screenshots. A really, really, really powerful way to resolve conflict of any kind in your personal life, in your professional life, nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg. It's just amazing. Very simple, 4-step process. The way that it works is you observe, you share your feeling, you share the need, and make a request. So observation. You want to describe the situation without an assumption or judgment. And I'll show you an example in a moment. Feeling. You want to express the situation, how it makes you feel. That's very important. You, not anybody else, without an assumption or judgment. Then the need. You identify the need that is causing the feeling, right? The one that you just shared. And then you make a request. Very clear, very straightforward. Right? Here's an example. So let's say you have somebody on your team that's not performing. Very common. Observation, you approach the team member and you say, hey, person, I've noticed that the last 3 reports submitted have had multiple errors. Notice there's no assumption, there's no feeling, there's nothing there. It's just a purely a fact statement. Feeling, I feel concern. Now, if you were to say here, I feel disrespected because I am the owner of the company and you're not doing what I'm asking you to do, now you're making a judgment and an assumption. Because if you say, I feel disrespected, what will happen? The other person will raise the defense. And so nothing gets in. So whatever you say is going to go through the barrier, through the filter of you're attacking me. So instead, you want to stay with yourself. I feel concerned. Why? Because the need. Because accuracy is crucial for our clients' trust. See, you're worried about the client not trusting you, and that's concerning you. And then, very simple at the end, a request. Could we discuss how to improve the accuracy of these reports? Yes. I've done this multiple times. I remember I've done this once with a corporate client in South Africa. I did a team workshop there, and there were two people that had a conflict that they didn't address. And they did this, and I told them, just follow the steps. They came out of the room 5 minutes later hugging each other. They're like, oh my God, this was so powerful, so simple. Wow, we hadn't talked about this in months. This is great. I love it, right? I didn't make this up, so definitely feel free to take this. Marshall Rosenberg. I'm not going to go deeper into this, but really, really, really important. So to conclude on conscious leadership, this is not a strategy. It's not something that Mario told you, okay, let me apply this. I want you to go deeper. It's a state of being that transforms you and those you lead. Right? Being conscious is a state of being that changes your life and those around you radically. All right, last one. The task of leadership is not to put greatness into people, but to elicit. For the greatness is there already. Right? Jason is not putting greatness into Justin. He's bringing it out. It's already there. But Justin might not be aware of it. He might not see it. But Jason looks at him. He's like, my young Padawan, here's how you use the force that's already inside of you. And then all of a sudden he starts lifting things around, and, he's got 3 without exiting businesses. And, then he picks up apprentices. This is how it works. So Genius Zone. This is so, so, so good and so effective, and it works for anybody, whether you're just getting started, whether you're multi-7 figures, 8 figures, doesn't matter. This is where it really is all about passion meeting proficiency. This is to help you unlock unparalleled value by operating in your zone of genius. Think of, I'm European, so I'm going to use a soccer or football, as we like to say. I know your American football is different, but a soccer example. If you put Cristiano Ronaldo as the goalie, is the team going to perform the same level as if he was in being the striker? What if you put Cristiano Ronaldo as the cameraman or the hot dog dealer outside, or the cheerleader? Isn't right? Not really important. But you see, this is the way that many business owners work. It's fine. I'll do the Canva designs. It's fine. I'll reach out to everybody manually. I can save a little money. Yeah, but the money that you think you're saving is costing you big time. So this is about really aligning you at the place where you can do what you're supposed to do. So I'm going to show you this. And again, for the sake of time, I want you to take a screenshot of the Genius ROI matrix. So, and I'm going to give you an example right away because I want you to see something. So I'm going to go over this quickly. So first of all, you need to know what's your hourly, how much per hour are you worth? If I was to say, let's see here, Justin, no, you're on the call. Let's see. Amy, I want to hire you for an hour of your time. How much is that worth? Right? Then you want to list 5 tasks you've performed in the past week. And I'm going to show you an example for each of this, so don't worry about it if it's not yet clicking. Then you want to categorize it into Genius Zone or not Genius Zone. Then for each of the Genius Zone tasks, you want to estimate the ROI it has generated or could generate. Then you want to calculate the opportunity cost, which means you multiply the spend on Genius Zone tasks by your hourly worth. And again, I'll show you in a moment.
to find out how much money you're potentially leaving on the table. All right, let's look at this. So let's say you're making $20,000 per month and you're working 100 hours. 5 tasks: client onboarding, content creation, financial analysis, right? Call it whatever you want if you don't do financial analysis, strategy meetings, sales calls. Onboarding, not in your genius zone. Content creation, in your genius zone. Financial analysis, not in your genius zone. Strategy meetings, in your genius zone. Sales calls, not in your genius zones. You'll see how much time you're spending on these hours. Now, you also want to dedicate how much of an ROI is it. Anything that's not in your genius zone is a low ROI. So then if we bring it down together and we look at the calculation, we get to see that in this example, you're spending on 5 tasks that are not in your genius zone, 3 financial analysis, and 6 sales calls, which equals 14 hours. 14 hours that you're not spending in your genius zone. If you multiply that by 200, you get $2,800 per week, which means you're leaving $11,200 on the table per month and $134,400 per year. That's what you're leaving on the table. So when you're thinking about, I can just do this myself, think about this. See, what I've found is that change will only happen in 2 cases. One, if the pain of not changing, the pain of change is smaller than the pain of not changing. Meaning, if you can no longer tolerate where you are right now, you are going to make a change. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not sustainable because that might mean your house is burning and you're like, it's just too hot here, I'm going to get out. So don't wait for that. Don't wait for the burnout. Don't wait for having to file bankruptcy. Don't wait for all of your clients to run away. Do it now. Do it from a place of inspiration, which is the other way to change. Take this today and say, all right, I'm sold. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to go through this. All right, take a screenshot and I'm going to apply this and I'm going to see what I need to work on.
This is really good, Mario. This is good. I've heard a lot of people talk about calculating your hourly worth and all that kind of stuff, but never brought it down to what's that costing you? What are you leaving on the table? This is genius. No pun intended. But I think I'm going to go back and definitely do the screenshots on these 2 pages, or you can go back and watch this on YouTube later at The Real Jason Duncan.
Yes. So, okay. So to sum up, my dear friends, there are 4 components that are part of the ZenPreneur method that will help you double your business with an unstoppable mindset and inner peace. Number 1, you gotta make sure that your mindset is clear and focused. Know what you want. Know what is required to get to what you want. And be aware of the additional load of stress that you're going to encounter. Self-mastery is you are preparing for that. You have systems and processes in place. You become a master of the moment. You're going to focus, instead of focusing on bringing in the $1 million client, you focus on making 20 calls to high net worth people, and you focus on showing up at the best of your ability. You let go of the outcome. 3, conscious leadership. Make sure that you take aligned actions. Make sure that you become a powerful communicator, and make sure that you create a thriving culture. And then lastly, use what I gave you here as the genius zone to maximize your time and your energy. And if you bring all of that together, you're going to double your business, and you're going to do it with inner peace while you're doing it, so you actually get to enjoy the whole journey. So if we still have time for this, I'd love for you to type into the chat, what did you find most valuable? What was your biggest lesson? And what's one action step you're now committing to?
All right, so while everybody is analyzing those questions, typing those in, We got Justin is monitoring that on the back end. I want to go ahead and say thanks to Mario, the ZenPreneur, for being here today. This has been a really good insight into the ZenPreneur method. As a reminder, it's an unstoppable mindset, self-mastery, conscious leadership, and then finally your genius zone. And so you can connect with Mario. It's on the screen right now, MarioLanzarotti.com. You can email him, mario@powerin.me. And he's on the socials. You can look him up on those things too. But go check him out. And if you do connect with him, make sure that you let him know that you found out about him through the Real Jason Duncan and this EMS webinar. So Mario, this has been really, really insightful. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship. I'm glad that we're working together on some other things too. So thank you again. Any final words that you want to leave the audience with before we sign off for today? I do have an announcement, by the way, for everybody. Don't leave yet. This is about our final event for the year. You don't want to miss what's coming up. But Mario, do you have any last words before you sign off?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for being somebody who's making a difference in the world. Because if you stayed until this point, or if you watched the recording fully until the very end, it tells me that you're one of those few people in the world who really believes in something greater than themselves. And if it wasn't for people like you, Jason and I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be able to do what we love most in the world. So thank you for being an example. And I'll close with this. Stop being so hard on yourself, because I also know other side of doing what you're doing right now is you're being very hard on yourself. And so my invitation is drop that, give yourself a pat on the back for investing in yourself today. And then I hope to see you on one of the platforms.
All right, Mario, thank you very much. And as we close out today, I just want to say a big thanks to everybody for being here. It's an honor to host these. I do say with a little bit of sadness in my voice that this will be the last scheduled EMS webinar. We're not going to be doing these anymore moving forward. This was the last scheduled one of 2023 anyway. And we have made a decision to change some of the formatting of what we're going to be providing for our audience for 2024 and beyond. But it's going to be really cool. So you don't want to miss out. We still have one more live event planned for 2023, and that's coming up on November the 15th. And I want to tell you a little bit about what that is. And this fits in perfectly with where the fourth pillar of the ZenPreneur method just left off. Our next event is going to be called Unlock Your Hidden Purpose, Transform Your Business with Ikigai. So Ikigai is a Japanese concept about finding your inner purpose, or as we talk about today, your zone of genius. I've got an Ikigai, certified Ikigai coach by the name of Norm Tam is going to be here. And this is designed, this whole event is going to be on November 15th at 12:30 p.m. Central Time right here in the Nashville, Tennessee area. It's live and in person. You can also watch the live stream. But if you're an entrepreneur or business owner that is seeking more than just the daily grind, like we talked about, then finding out what your purpose is, your Ikigai, is one of the keys for that. We're going to be going over 4 things at this live event. Number one, it's going to be a 2-hour event that's going to start with an introduction to Ikigai. What is it? What is this concept? And if you want to go look it up, it's IKIGAI. IKIGAI. You can look this up, and we're going to do a deep dive on what it is. We're also going to talk about the power of purpose. Like, what is there power in understanding your purpose? And I think if you stayed through this whole thing today, you know from what Mario said is 100% true. There is power in the purpose. The third thing is we're going to do a live demonstration. You're going to witness a real-time discovery of your personal Ikigai and unveil this transformative concept for you and everybody in the room. And then also the fourth thing is applying Ikigai to your business. How do you take what you now know as your Ikigai and apply this to your business? So you don't want to miss this. Tickets to the live event are only $47. You can register and get your tickets at therealjasonduncan.com/EMS live. EMS live. So go to the Real Jason Duncan called EMS, realjasonduncan.com/EMS live. Get your tickets or register for the live stream. It's been my honor to be with you today. Thank you for being with me on this journey of doing these EMS webinars for the last couple of years. It is a little sad that this is the last one we're doing, but we did end on a high note with the ZenPreneur himself, Mario Lanzarotti. Big thank you to Mario. Thanks to Desk Rig, who is our production company in the background. If you need production on any of your events, reach out to DeskRig at deskrig.com. And thank you to Story for being our sponsor, and for Justin, my apprentice, for being in the background, helping us out today. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.